And how do you do that? First 6 seconds, put 8 point beat, everything you got. Everything you got. Turn that shit up. Let's go.
Welcome to the Scoop World Order. It is Thursday of Rutgers week. It is no balls on the ground Thursday. It is a day where every play is basically supposed to be perfect. They no longer in pads. It's an easy practice for the boys, and the hay's basically in the barn. So it's we're getting close. Another big Saturday in the Horseshoe, playing Rutgers. Not a noon game, 3:30 kick. I think that they're trying to manufacture some energy after a game where everything was basically made for them, being a night game, being Wisconsin, being the blackout. This is kind of be the opposite. You're playing maybe the worst team in the Big Ten, 3:30 snoozer. People aren't really going to be excited about this. Not a big recruiting weekend, so we'll see what they can do. I got Nevada. He's got some intel on what is going on in the Woody and how Ryan Day and the coaches are putting the hammer down on the kids this week. So with that being said, as always, I am thankful for you guys and grateful for you guys. Comment. What do you want to see the next 2 weeks before the bye week? We have the bye week coming up. Great time for the players to get home for a few days, chill, get the bodies right, get some of these guys healthy, like Jackson Smith and Jigba, Denzel Burke. Some of these guys are, we need them for the stretch. We don't necessarily need them for the next 2 weeks, but what do you want to see out of the team in the next 2 weeks? Who do you want to see play more? And shout out where you're from. As always, I love that. You guys have been putting that in the comments. It's cool. Any of our Buckeye Scoop family that are down in Florida being affected by Hurricane Ian, thinking about you. Be safe. Be careful. It is crazy out there. The footage is nuts. So thinking about you guys, praying for you guys. Hope you guys are good. With that being said, bring in my good friend Nevada. Nevada, how are you today?
I'm doing great, but I echo what you say about our great fans that live down in Florida, down in the Carolinas, down in Georgia. Be safe. That hurricane looks nasty. I don't think we've ever quite seen anything like it, in terms of a slow-moving big storm like that, and super dangerous. So everybody be well and take care of yourself.
Yeah, it's no joke. My in-laws are down there, and they're 90-mile-an-hour winds outside their house. So bunker down and stay as safe as you guys can. With that being said, I don't know if there's anything that can save Rutgers from what's coming for them this Saturday when they visit the Horseshoe. Nevada, what is your intel from inside the Woody Hayes as to what the coaches are doing to keep these guys motivated after a big night game win, kind of a little bit of a lull in the schedule? You have all the adulation of Columbus and Ohio, and everyone's saying how great you are. What is Ryan Day and the coaching staff doing to keep these kids level-headed and improving?
Well, you mentioned earlier in the broadcast, you talked about the focus on the bye week coming up in a couple of weeks, and after the Michigan State game. And I think that for the Buckeyes, they've kind of split the season into 2 parts. This is part one. They want to finish part one strong, and so with that in mind, they're really going hard at the guys. This is the time normally when everybody's telling them how good they are, and the Ohio State staff has been extra hard on the grading, extra hard on the practices, really trying to push the heat up, trying to get the guys to stay at a high level the next couple of weeks so they can kind of come down during that bye week and then get back at it in the second week of the season. But they're kind of pitching this as the end of the season one. They want to finish season one undefeated. They want to finish with some great efforts. And you got Rutgers coming in Rutgers isn't as bad as people think. They're not as bad as the odds makers think they are. I thought last week would be a blowout for Ohio State. This week, I think, might be a little bit closer. I don't think Rutgers is quite as bad as people think, and I think it's going to be hard for Ohio State to sustain that top effort. But it won't be for lack of training from the coaches, because the coaches are really turning up the heat on the players this week.
Yeah, I don't know how Rutgers scores at all. Maybe a broken play, but without Noah Verdal, their returning quarterback, who's out for the season, and they are struggling mightily at the quarterback position right now. So. And when Iowa can score 28 points against you, then Ohio State can probably score 200 points against you, just because Iowa's that bad on defense or on offense. Excuse me. So it's going to be an interesting one. I think that Greg Schiano, for what he's doing at a place like Rutgers, is doing the best he can. But it's just there's some jobs that are just impossible to win at and impossible to win big at. I know that in 06 he kind of had it cooking, or 07, that year that they were really, really good with that Anthony Davis, Ray Rice, that crew. They got up to, I think, second in the country, but that's a long time ago. It's 15, 16 years ago. So, but it'll be interesting. So with that being said, Nevada, we're going to head into the film room. one of our favorite things to check out. We're gonna watch the first drive of the defense. So obviously, Jim Knowles, the three safety look has been a revelation for the Buckeyes. It's something where, I think in modern football, this is not something you see very often. This is, tale as old a time with Wisconsin. They got the two tight ends. Are they going to run, zone this way, the same stuff that they've run for 30 years, I swear. And it was interesting to see that we stuck with the three safeties. We got the three safeties in the back. We got our corners. Excuse me. You got your linebacker. You got Steele out here. It's interesting to see how these guys matched up versus. Excuse me. This is our corner reduce. Sorry, this film's a little blurry, but were you surprised that we didn't see more three linebackers and we stuck with the three safety look versus these looks?
Well, I mean, again, you got to remember when you talk about guys like Sonny Styles or Hickman or some of the modern safeties right now, or Josh Proctor, they look a lot like linebackers. And even in that look that you're seeing there, I expected Ohio State to go to some bare front. They didn't, but they were playing with that overhang, safety linebacker kind of creeping in there. So you can count the 7 guys in the box for Ohio State right there, and a 7-man box is tough to run against. And I think Ohio State loves those versatile guys. You see a guy like Sonny Styles. We can't say enough good things about him. I mean, he's our Cam Chancellor. He's our Roger Harper for some Ohio State fans that want to go back a few years at safety. He's a guy that the Ohio State coaching staff is so excited about, and one of the things that they like about him is the versatility. That he can be a safety, that he can climb in there and play in the box and stop the run and cover the pass. And guys like that are really at a premium, and those guys are featured in this defense, and you saw it on display on Saturday night.
Yeah, I think that Sonny Styles is a guy that if you could buy stock in him, he'd buy as much as he could like right this minute, because I think he's gonna be eating away at minutes. I could see him being like kind of like how AJ Hawk was in like 02, 03, where his role just kept growing and growing as the season went along. Here's a little read option play, or this is Wildcat, excuse me. This is the big tailback, Braylon Allen, direct snap. Nevada, would you want Ohio State to ever try and do a Wildcat look with our two tailbacks?
I personally can't stand the Wildcat because I just think it just, whenever I see the Wildcat, I'm just like, okay, defensively, you can pretty much mask the front. You pretty much know what's coming. And, I think you can accomplish the same things with some different looks. And, we talked about the quarterback keeper, which really kind of accomplishes the same thing as the Wildcat, only with a guy who can throw. But one of the wrinkles that Ohio State has been working on that I would like to see, more move from the practice field onto the game field is playing both running backs at the same time. Playing the almost like the way the Packers do with A.J. Dillon and with Aaron Jones. Playing the two backs, and I think that's something that Ohio State is seriously considering doing. That would be a look that you might see this week. You might say, well, why would you put that? Why would you do that against Rutgers? Why would you show that and not save it? Well, I think a lot of times they like to put stuff on film to give the other team something to think about. One more thing to have to prepare for. And, Ohio State's in a real rare situation of having 2 NFL-ready running backs, and getting them on the field at the same time makes a whole heck of a lot of sense.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that they've traditionally so far they've shown putting Mayan Williams in the slot, running jet sweeps with them, and they put Jackson Smith and Jigba running back, and obviously he's out. And I think a great way to take some of the stress off of your receivers is put both running backs in. And I know that we're a little thin at running back too, but those guys are pretty sturdy. They're hardy. I think that they need more touches. And I think it'd be another thing to game plan for. Like if you have, Mayan running a sweep across, and then you have Trey running an inside zone, or vice versa. I think it's something that's difficult to defend, and you don't want to have Mayan running a jet sweep across the formation like so, and coming out on a cornerback. That's a miserable matchup. You have you usually have your receiver come in and crack the safety, and it's that's something that Ryan Day talked about a lot, is how Julian Fleming can really crack safeties because he's such a moose, playing receiver. And I think that would be a matchup. This is like when I think of Wisconsin football, this is what I think of. I got your tight end, you got 2 tight ends, fullback, condensed 3rd and 1. I mean, this is like, if there's ever a play that looks like Wisconsin football, it's this. They just run it right up the gut, fall forward, they get an inch. But again, our defense, they're playing, you know, double A gap look. I mean, this is basically goal line defense here. And again, like, this is what I thought we would get out of Wisconsin. They're going to, if it's 3rd and 1, they're not going to get fancy. They're not going to try to take a shot or do it in cute. They're going to do double tight ends, fullback, right up the A gap. And, they convert this here. But, our defense, again, like they were stout against the run. You see our guys, Jack Sawyer's pushing them back, and the interior guys are making a pile. Again, some of these guys, it's about doing their job. If you're an interior guy in this front, you got to just make a pile to keep the linebackers free. So the guys have to make plays. So, but this is something that I like to see with Trey. And you're seeing more of this in the NFL where, they motion him out like he's going to split out, and then he pivots back and he jets across. So he gets a little bit of a running start, which is completely illegal. And you can get the edge. Now, our guys are too athletic job of defending this. But if you look at a normal ball of wax, Nevada, what do you think of this motion? Is it something you don't want to see Trey do?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, getting the ball up to train. I mean, I love the jet sweep action anytime. I like it with any player. I like it. We've got a bunch of wide receivers that can run it, but obviously, Trayvon, that's something that he was born to do. And I think for Ohio State, they're trying to find ways to get him the ball on the edge, and everybody says that. I mean, it's one of the old kind of platitudes of football. Is, hey, get the ball to the guy in space. It's like everybody doesn't want to get the guy, a fast guy the ball out in the open somewhere. But the trick is, how do you do that? And I think for Ohio State running the jet sweep action, they don't run it often, but when they do, it's usually deadly effective. And I think Wisconsin in the past has hurt us with jet sweep action, and I thought it was really a tribute to Knowles and the defense that they were so ready. And to something you said earlier, though, that our linebackers were able to run free because the front four was tying up the offensive linemen. And when you can run and you can catch those guys on the outside, then that jet sweep action is not nearly as effective. And I think that was clearly displayed on Saturday night. Our linebackers had free runs, and that's why Tommy Eichenberg had such a big game.
Yeah, and this is the first snap of Jack of the game. Comes on 2nd down. Again, when Jack Sawyer's in, they got to be ready for this because essentially it's like an odd defense because you literally have a true zero nose who's head up on the center, 2-5 techniques. Again, this creates terrible double team surfaces for the offensive line, which is why I hated going against. You can never get like a real flush double team because you have guys playing head up, you have guys playing outside shoulder, you have guys kind of screwing around, up in the gaps. Like it's just. I love it because I know how hard it is to go against. And when you have really good players in it, and here you got Jack, it's interesting. You got Jack dropping as a whole player here. You're bringing, basically you're switching roles. You're bringing your Mike linebacker here. Jack's dropping into the hole, kind of trading spots, shadowing the tight end. Again, this is the pick. So this is McAllister, getting the big pick, his big pick to start his career off here at Ohio State. And I love, I love the multiple looks that you could do with the same personnel in this defense. And that's why like the 3 safety thing is so intriguing because you can literally, like they had Sonny Styles in the safety and he's lined up like a linebacker and then he's back deep and he's, it's just hard to account where guys are going to line up when you have a structure and a defense that is so sound, but it's also so multiple. It's not, they don't leave anything really to chance, and they have the answers for basically every formation, every look. So we'll grind this thing out and we'll finish out this drive. Shout out to my boy Justin Fry. He's got the green shirt on, which I think it means he's got that money green on because he's probably going to be getting a bunch of head coaching offers after this season. He's doing signals for the O-line. Really good stuff. I mean, these guys are playing great. There's Juan flapping, because again, if Juan flaps, everybody has to listen and get quiet. Nevada, if Juan told you to be quiet in the stadium, would you be quiet or would you be getting more chicken tenders?
Yeah, I'd probably go back and get some more hot cocoa and just try to get out of the way or something like that. But yeah, no, I mean, Juan is he's an imposing guy, man. I'm telling you, to have guys that are that big, that can dunk a basketball and can do the things he can do with his feet, and the sky's the limit for him, and it's really a tribute to Justin Fry. He seems to be getting the best out of him. There's certainly room for improvement. He seems to kind of float from it used to be one good play, one bad play. Now I'd say it's probably 2 good plays, 1 bad play. but he's getting better, improving. He's going to be on some get some postseason recognition, and certainly going to be a guy that could be in demand by a bunch of NFL teams in the upcoming draft.
Yeah, I agree. And this combo, I think, they're working. I think these could both be better. If I was these trail guys, if I was PJ or if I was Luke, I would hit this hip and make these guys go flying. Just because I think that's the way to clear this up. Because if you hit the down guy's hip and they go flying over here, and then you have a nice easy climb to these guys, then you're splitting this all the way to the safeties. But instead, the combination blocks aren't good enough. I mean, they're good enough to get some yardage, but they're not as clean. And again, this is a learning thing, and this is something that's great for like a guy like Justin Fries. He can watch this and say, "Guys, we beat him 52 to whatever," and that's great. But this is what we need to fix, what we need to clean up. Like it's not perfect, and I mean, football's never perfect, but it's just like it's always nice when you have a lot of stuff you can fix and clean up, and it's not. A lot of it isn't hard fixes. It's not like the guy's just getting whipped by the DN because he's not good. It's like, no, these are just like little things you got to tweak and clean up. And then all of a sudden, instead of 52, we're getting 77 points on the board. This is a great call. This is the old. So we used to call this why, aw shit. And I'll just put a star instead of the I. So he's the Y. Cade Stover's the Y. Y is like what you normally call a tight end in football. And what we actually did this in 2004 against Michigan with Ryan Hamby. And literally he was taught to like fall, act like he's walking, fall down, say, "Oh shit," like he screwed up the play, and then, get up and run across the field. And it works every single time you run it because they think, all these guys think that, their spider senses turn off because as soon as you fall down, they think you're out of the play. But he would literally do that. And like, I think it was me or Rob. I can't remember what side he did it on. We would come out here and, we'd block the guy after, Hamby fell down. Then Hamby would like kind of squirt through here like Cade does. And we do it here off of, this is my favorite pass protection. It's just a sprint pass. And Cade, it's nice because you've got Trey Steele on the edge here. It's a real easy block. The only guy that really has a tough block is Juan. He has to stick with this guy back here. But Juan just sells it instead, and I mean he's real close to being downfield, so he almost could have got this thing called back. He's about, he's almost about 5 yards downfield. So he almost runs into Cade here, so that's almost a penalty because he's in La La Land. But the throwback's beautiful, wide open. Cade gets his first career touchdown. He earns this one. I mean, he did multiple somersaults on Saturday. He's excited. He does the farmer celebration. It looks like so. It was good. What'd you think of this design, Nevada? Like I said, I love it. I love the fact that we're featuring Cade. I think he's the true X factor of the offense. But what were your thoughts on this? This is the second drive coming off of Tanner McAllister's pick.
Well, it reminded me of the famous Kenny Guyton. Was it Hireman on the?
It's the same play. It's the exact same play. Yeah, it's the exact same play.
And 2-point conversion to send it into overtime. Save the undefeated season.
Oh God! Well, the funny thing about Jeff is that he screwed it up, and he actually like went behind the tackle, which is you'd never draw it up like that. But sometimes in football, it's just like weird stuff happens, and he literally like went behind the tackle, and by some miracle of God, it actually worked. So, but yeah, I just wanted to get a little bit of this. I think we're gonna do some all 22 stuff this evening potentially. Any closing thoughts, Nevada? Ryan's putting the screws to these guys. These guys are not going to regress over the next 3 weeks because they are being coached very hard in the Woody Hayes right now. What are your thoughts over the rest of this week? Game days in 2 days, and then going into Michigan State.
Yeah, I think it's. I think Rutgers is going to give us a little better battle than we might think. I think it's going to be one of those games where. They can't do much offensively, but they outgained Iowa, I think like 370 to 260 or something like that. Just a couple of bad turnovers ended up costing them. Game kind of got out of hand, but I don't think Rutgers is awful defensively. They're bad offensively, but defensively they're not awful. And I just somehow feel like they're going to keep it a little bit closer than we might think. And for Ohio State fans, we'll just look for that progress. We'll look for some different formations. We'll look for how the 2s and 3s go. And defensively, if all indications Knowles has only unveiled 20-30% of this defense. So we'll see if we can see what 30 and 40% looks like. And I'm looking forward to seeing the game on Saturday. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think these guys are they're in a good spot. I think they're being coached hard, and that Penn State game kind of comes right at the perfect spot, and then you get that little runaway leading up to Michigan. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap this thing up. Appreciate you guys as always. You guys are helping us in a major. We are growing like absolute crazy. It's been a great run on the Scoop. We really are. We're blessed to have you guys on here. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Buckeye Nation. Thank you, Scoop family. Comment below. What do you want to see out of the Rutgers game? Who do you want to see play more? Who do you think plays more? Is Sonny Styles going to take somebody's job? It could happen. He is balling right now. Really impressive on film. But you tell me who you want to see play more versus Rutgers. And shout out where you're from. As always, appreciate you guys. Thank you, Scoop fam. Thank you, Buckeye Nation. You guys have a great rest of your day. Go Bucks.